Market Vitals, the levels you need to triage the market. HFR, from the floor, from the matrix, mistrade. We miss mistrade, don't we? Mistrade, Matt Davio?
Yeah, I don't exist.
He doesn't exist.
Been canceled.
Canceled. It's a Wednesday. It's a wacky Wednesday, and let's get into some of the wackiness of it all, Matt.
We've stopped trading, waiting for the jobs. Apparently, Friday. It's super thin. Holidays continue here, so oil continues to get to schmeeze down here to 95. That's interesting.
Matt, you shared this. It's one of our favorite Twitter follows, by the way, is Super 70s Sports. Not only sports, right? Just like us, not only trading. And they shared this, and as soon as you shared this, and I saw it, I started to twitch, to tell you the truth. And Super 70 says, I pounded these motherfuckers like Tic Tacs throughout my childhood, and now I'm immune to all diseases. Matt, when my oldest was about 4, he downed about a half a bottle while we were in Michigan at an engagement party, about 3 hours away, solid 3-hour drive. And we went to bed about 2, 3 in the morning, and we got the call from the ER at 5 that the young one had done just this. Ate them like Tic Tacs. One of the worst drives in my life.
Oh my God.
That's all fun and games because
that was probably well before, like, when you had your bag phone, probably. Did you even have a car phone?
No, not even a car, not even a phone. It was at the hotel. We got a call to the room at the hotel that we were at.
No, I know, but like then on the way there, did you have a bag phone?
No. This
fighting,
was probably
fighting your wife not to use the phone.
92, 93.
Yeah, so you didn't even have a phone.
No, it was brutal.
It was high anxiety.
Every time I see those Flintstones, and we're going to talk about this in a second, but talk about priming the clientele at a young age. Let's start popping something that makes you bigger and stronger and feel better. And it's in a pill form, by the way.
Right. Chewable.
Matt, speaking of being red pilled, we were out yesterday and little meeting, and the guy, we start talking Chicago. He fires up a bottle of Jepson's Malort. You had never heard of it. Most people have never heard of Jepson's Malort, and it is just like crab and lobster. The first time you do this, it is on a dare. There is no doubt.
I did not take the dare.
Matt smelled it, and he was like, if I want to drink something like that, I'll just go to the cleaning cupboard and get out some
rubbing alcohol. Yeah.
Oh, unreal.
It was not distilled, whatever it was. It was.
And then, Matt, we had this. Got to stay on top of things now. The solar flares now, Matt. Solar storms are causing up to 5,500 heart-related deaths in a given year. If you weren't skeptical about information, I'm not sure how you can remain unskeptical. With 1 month after another, they come up with another thing that's causing heart-related deaths. It's unreal.
Well, it's funny you say that, and then this one just comes across my feed right here. First of all, we're talking about Flintstones, and now vitamin D overdose causes man to vomit for months, kidney damage. So they're trying to, I don't know, like you are supposed to take vitamin D. I don't know how much the guy took, but
well, like everything else, under the care of a physician.
Yeah,
under the care of a physician that is obedient.
So he was taking 150,000 international units, 200 times the recommended. Dude, you got some issues.
Well, Matt, we like to try to stay light here. Light trading is hard enough. Yep. But at some point, the serious gets really, really serious. The discussion gets really serious. And this one, just, talk about a drug-induced world. Now, 70,000 deaths from opioid last year.
No, 70,000 this year, 2022. And in 2020, there was 20,000 the entire year.
That was the rest of the story.
So we're halfway through the year and we're already 3.5x what we did 2 years ago in 20.
Yeah, it's amazing.
When this pandemic began. So to your point, okay, now everybody, is stressed out, anxiety, they're all angsty and they're looking for release, whether it's alcohol, marijuana, hard drugs like this, right? It's insane. Don't talk to me about, Elizabeth Holmes and her fraud. Talk to me about the fraud that's perpetuated by this administration that continues to play on. I mean,
it's unreal.
Let's
do a jump in and look in at Moderna. We haven't looked at it in a couple of days, but we always like to get back to price at some point. And it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, Moderna's been going up. I think I saw it was 155 this morning. So, and again, I saw an article in it was in the Mercury News, Bay Area, saying that COVID, hospitalizations are going through the roof again. Should we be concerned? That was the headline. I'm like, that's just such bumpkiss. Like, I don't.
Well, the other thing was the Canadian health minister saying that every 9 months you're going to need a jab. I mean, talk about there's 30 plus million people that are on a 9-month annuity with you. It seems like it's pretty good business. And we know from the beginning of this, Trudeau, he bought like a 4 or 5 year supply.
Yep.
2 years ago.
Well, he is definitely Klaus's right hand little whipping boy for sure. And Canada's crazy. Canada is nuts. I wouldn't even try to get into that country this summer if I were you, but that's you.
Matt,
Moderna, I mean, yeah, it's rallied. It's up another % today, and it's come off the bottom of 115. And but it's just getting into value just now on the longer term chart. So it will trade down to 75. It will trade down to 25. I think it will become the fraud and go to zero. But
at what levels would you be paying particular attention to on the upside if the narrative?
I mean, it would have to get over 200 and start flying again.
Right on. Okay.
Yeah.
You have that price alert in 200 on Moderna?
Right there. See it right there.
Right on.
Yeah.
See, actionable.
Yeah. So, maybe if it got over there on a Friday close, then you could get long for, another bounce back to 400. I mean, things get crazy again. What's interesting, and we've talked about this, I'm going to bring this up, the smallpox manufacturer.
Oh, right.
This was up to 16 here in July, and today it got back up to 14. And I've been long, and just because of this stuff, like just pure speculation that this is going to be the next thing. And this has been being acquired, right? I mean, I was buying this in the single digits 7 or 8 months ago, and it had that first spike up here to 16. It actually got down to the 5. So I mean, this thing went from, 5s all the way up to 16, and today back here to 14. It's pulled off here at 1272. It's actually red for the day. So that's not a good sign ultimately, but this is, again, it's a fascinating story. There's a bull market somewhere, right? And this stock has just been outperforming everything. And it's because they make smallpox vaccines.
And the fear is that we're going to make smallpox great again.
Yeah.
It's getting repetitive, this world.
Yeah.
Matt, we talked about this. No, that's the wrong one. We want to go here. We talked about this last week when you went to the local
Volvo dealer.
Volvo dealership. Exactly. Volvo. Not on this list. I don't know why. But this was a whole Mars catalog, U.S. light vehicle sales in June, year over year. You talked about it just on the grounds, Intel. The guy saying it was the worst June they've ever had at the Volvo dealership here locally. But this light vehicle sales reported and disseminated. I mean, it's disastrous. I mean, how can you suffer 42%, Mazda 43% just about sales destruction? I mean, those are type of numbers that that could kill you. It's unbelievable. And Tesla, the only one, up 53%. So we saw that, and then we saw this one. Used car market is on the brink of auto loan collapse that can shake the entire industry. I'm shocked that more people are not talking about this. We're facing a 2008-ish scenario in the used car market, and honestly, it's a disaster waiting to happen. Now let's talk about some auto financing and some banks that for sure aren't writing nearly as much loans if nobody's buying a car, either used and or new. I mean, it's a giant story.
Yeah, it is a giant story, and again, I think I always like to start with some of the bigger retail names, and for me, the one that I always think about first is Capital One, because it's kind of the financier of the local guy. And yeah, I mean, this was 178 last summer, 1 year ago, and now it's down here to 100. So 70% off, 55, 60, 70% off, somewhere in there, and not, fully right-sided. And if you factor out, fractal out a little bit and look at the COVID low was down here at 39. So Bob, again, this thing,
I mean, and we haven't even, nobody's actually talked about like the default level or default numbers yet on car loans, default numbers on used car loans. The repo man, we're going to make him great again.
Right.
As the forced sale of and the undercover acquisition of a car in default.
Yeah. So that looks like, again, we're at 100. Looks like it wants to go test the COVID low 40. I mean, again, things haven't even gotten bad yet, right? We're just starting. So I don't buy that inflation's over just because oil's down $30. It's still higher. It's still 50%, 60% higher than when Biden took over. So when he was sworn in, it was, $50, and it's sitting here at 95 today. So it's still rather 100% higher. So inflation's real. It's not going away. Wheat, corn, all those things have, by the way, have come back into, balance after their, Ukraine explosion. But that story's done. Like that, we're back to normalized prices. Still high though. Still high. I also wanted to look at M&T Bank. This is another one that, obviously does a lot of retail loans. 197 again, high. This was of 18. So it got, they're just starting to roll over again here. So you're just starting again, kind of right-sided on some of these. Didn't get back to the high that it saw before. PNC Bank is another one that has already, begun to rectify itself more than MTB.
Right, exactly. It's amazing how there's different.
But again, different regions and different, the West Coast might have been stronger than the East Coast, and depending, PNC's in Pittsburgh, they're probably being hit already, just like Detroit is, just like Chicago is, right? Those places don't have the upside that the West Coast has, so they take, because of the false inflation in real estate, especially on the West Coast, and some of the, the East Coast places where they can use that money, but when that equity dissipates, then this becomes a real problem, and then people have to go get a loan for a car instead of taking it out against their house. But this one's interesting. PNC, $80, 3x. I mean, it did 3x during COVID. The low is down here at 79. I mean, again, you look at the long-term nature of these charts, these spikes in these banks were insane, right? Everything, like, it's just like, again, these aren't even names I trade. And you start seeing, like, if you're in the portfolio business, you better be selling this stuff because you're never going to see that price again. That was insane. Didn't make any sense.
Right on.
Yeah.
Matt, speaking of insane,
now they do pay dividends. PNC pays a 3.75, MTB pays 3. So at least they're paying you some dividend to hold, but they're not cheap here either. So I would.
Not only that, the dividend becomes harder and harder as the default rate on all forms of loans
For sure.
increases.
For sure. And give you an idea, back in 09, when we were bottoming, this thing was trading $32. So it's still 6x that. I mean, has their business changed that much? Have they acquired that many regional banks? I can't tell you. MTB, they were down here, 32 to 190 also. So these things are all super frothy. When you think about if we go into one, how can you not think we're not going to go into an environment worse than 08 and 09?
Well, it certainly is not the same. It is not the same by a order of magnitude. First of all, the bubble is bigger, and the inflation never showed its face back then.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, my grandfather used to say, Matt, wish in one hand and piss in the other, and see which one fills up first. A lot of wishing going on.
Yeah.
Matt, we saw this shared by Zero Hedge, lowest equity issuance in almost 3 decades from Goldman Sachs. Let me read that again, Matt. Lowest equity issuance in almost 3 decades. We're talking about initial public offerings, IPOs, a giant moneymaker for these banks like JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, think how many that were coming out last year and the year before, right? Every day it was way bigger than.
I mean,
2000.
think about the money they get. I mean, they get the underwriting money, but they're also the first in.
Yep.
Like if it's a great one, and they can see the metric, believe me, they can see the metric on should we buy or should we hold, or should we just, how much should we hold? It's unreal how much.
Well, and I think what that tells you, Bob, and what that tells us is, obviously they know, and again, coming back to Marty Armstrong, capital flows. There's no money interested in putting together shitty company deals anymore. And the ones at the end are the worst, right? And we've gone over so many of them that have, came public and immediately went to the shit pile. So those were the ones that got public, and the insiders were allowed to sell, I guess, but nobody, anybody that got, bag holded with that stuff is just sitting, with negative equity all over the place. But yeah, let's take a look at Goldman Sachs, and then maybe, JP and Morgan Stanley, just to kind of look at the big boys. But this is a daily chart. And again, low on the COVID low, 126, all the way up to 426, Bob. And that peaked last fall. And this has just been slaughtered. I mean, it's already, again, so that news has been built in, but there's more to come. And it should trade back to at least 200, if not, again, the COVID low is back here at 126. So that's not a pretty chart. Morgan Stanley, that's huge demand destruction. I mean, you're basically talking about a 30% haircut for Goldman Sachs. And Morgan Stanley, 109 down here to 75 today. So again, another 35%. They're all, lock and step. But
amazing too how the points of control are dead nuts right at that COVID low.
Yep, it is
on the
right?
longer term profile.
Yeah. And these are just daily charts, okay, that we're looking at. So that's a good point to bring up. And then JP Morgan is, again, getting throttled. It's been straight down for quite a while here. And again, they're all peaking 172 at the same time, currently sitting right around a 111. That's huge. I mean, that's $60. You're talking closer to 40%. So big drop in JP Morgan. And the COVID low there is 77. So we're getting close. It's a little different looking profile. And there's that hole. You got that whole, gap hole down in here that probably needs to be filled out. So I wouldn't be surprised if this thing trades back to 70 at some point.
All right, man. We talked about we've talked about the dollar and its strength. We talked about shared Marty Armstrong's views on global capital flows. But this one really took me by surprise, and this is the German trade deficit. It doesn't happen ever. Well, like back to 93, it hasn't happened. And now a fully negative trade balance. I mean, it's unthinkable that Europe's biggest economy, the strongest player. How? I mean, I guess.
Well, I mean,
you want to point out the
this is what least common denominator, governments do, right? If you want to protect, the sea turtles and the thing, I'm being facetious.
Wait a second. I want to protect the sea turtles.
I'm being facetious.
And I know you do too. Policy. We talked about not wanting to be a political show, but policy matters. And let's bring up when I saw this, because amazingly too how things the serendipity of it all, Matt. Somebody talked about the euro, the euro currency, US dollar pair, and how it's going to parity. And when I see this chart, and I said it before seeing this chart, why wouldn't it just go back to 80 cents? I mean, maybe not this year, but the trajectory is for sure. And when you see this balance of trade like this for Germany, I mean, that it's more evident than not to me now that that's the trajectory that the euro currencies is going to.
Here we are. I mean, new lows today, 102, was it 102.1 or so? So yeah, it's not pretty, Bob. It's really fallen away. And that's because the dollars, that's where all the capital flows are coming still. We've talked about this. And, this doesn't change. You start fractaling out, we're making, multi-year lows. This is below the 2014 lows. And again, this started trading in '01. So, and it was all the way down here, 85, 86 cents. So,
there's a trader in Chicago. I'm sure he has to have passed away by now because he was very old back in the 90s. And he used to say the market will always trade your price again.
Yep.
You might not have the solvency to withstand. And by the way, the timeline as 80-cent euro is where it came on the board relatively, and spent the first
year
between 80 and 95, or 82 and 95, 84, I guess, in 95, that 10-cent bracket. Let me share it. Let me share it from a standard deviation modeling, because it's a beautiful chart to see.
Yep.
And again, if this was an hourly chart, who's going to buy this? Why would you buy this if this was an hourly chart? Until you retested those lows. I mean, it's in a free fall.
It's ugly. I mean,
the standard deviation modeling is
especially now. I mean, you've just taken out 9 years of longs,
and we haven't had,
and we haven't had a panic, and we haven't had
this candle here, which was
that's what I said. We haven't even had a panic. It's just been slow and orderly.
The quarter one of 15.
I mean, where do you think this goes when the dollar's at 120?
I mean, it's probably in the mid 90s. And then when the dollar goes to 160, this thing's down at forget about the lows, at 80. I mean, I think there's more potential there. And here's the thing, as we move quarter to quarter forward, that's what I mean. This is a quarterly chart. So it's a long-term chart. This is going to play out over the next 6 months, year or so. And as that potential falls away, that's just telling you that where the market potential is. I didn't make it up. It's just the numbers. It's what the numbers are telling you, the potential in standard deviation trading. And by the way, it was pretty rock solid throughout the whole history of this contract. Anyway, I just wanted to point it out. We had a conversation, Matt, about something wanting to move to Europe. And we were both like, wow, that is I mean, maybe when it's on fire, that's when you go. But
I think it's always. I think for Americans, especially Americans that really haven't, that don't understand history or study it, it's. I mean, it's been in a decline over there for a long time. I mean, socialism there is. I mean, think about this: the euro has still got negative interest rates. Inflation is way higher than it is in the U.S. I mean, what's wrong?
And not only that, some of the talk about policy, some of their policy that they are now full reversing on, as we saw today or yesterday, that the Germans or the ECB or the Euro land now seeing natural gas and nuclear as green energy, when they had been energy forms that were, if there was a persona non grata forever. Now they're so, but you've destructed those are long timeline things, especially the nuclear thing. The gas they can actually rectify quickly.
And I mean, quickly is relative, but
again, relative, but these policy positions.
Well, even Biden was talking yesterday about changing the Chinese policy, the Chinese imports, because of the supply problems. I mean, and the inflation, like, he knows that if they don't do something, this is a depression. It's like that, somebody's finally getting in his ear, but I don't know if he's going to be able to move quickly enough, because he's not that well. He's not. I don't even think he's there.
He ain't calling the shots.
That's what I'm saying, but
he is not. All right, man. Anything else? What else have we got? It's slow. It's a slow time of year for sports. When's the British start? I saw Tiger was
usually right about now, mid.
I think it's
July,
next week. Yeah, week.
Yeah.
I saw Tiger saving his legs, riding around in
bonds
cars.
are down big. Oil is big off the bottom. It's up $3 now off the bottom. Thank you very little. I got that one. the bonds are just dragging along the bottom here. They hit 142. They stopped there. Yeah, Wimbledon's going on. You had a quarterfinal doubles match where the players were pissed about the call and they just walked off. They're like, we're not playing anymore. So again,
is that the state of everybody gets a trophy
Yep,
as you become a professional? The call didn't go my way and I'm not playing.
Yeah.
Temper tantrum on the court.
Temper tantrum. We're in temper tantrum season.
Oh my
July,
Lord.
right? The dog days of summer. And this week is just all waiting for the jobs on Friday. It's a short week and everybody's just waiting. I mean, you just look at the trade and the spoos today, and you're like, good Lord. It's just like, you know, it's just chopping in a, you know, really tight range. It's let me point this out because it's interesting. Like yesterday we had a algo that took us up, right? And then since then we've just based. We've gone nowhere. We went up overnight, up, you know, just bang, 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 and ping pong paddles. Super light volume. Super light volume.
Trade both ways.
What narrative, you know, is running the show today? I don't know. There's nothing going on. So you got to wait for the jobs. You got to wait for all that. It's slow out there. Natural gas, you know, that's in, you know, just like oil, it's been slaughtered. Let's take a look at that because we haven't looked at that in a while.
Bring it in.
Had a big rally this morning and but pushing back down again. The lows down here, we get down to like 530. I mean, think about this. I mean, don't forget when we were talking about this, was it 8-9? Yeah, 9.5. I mean, it's been cut in half, Bob. Yet in Germany, it's like 6x the cost. Still,
I saw too in Germany that there's huge demand for firewood in July, as people are like, I don't know what's going to happen this winter, but I'm
I mean, honestly, I look at this and go, okay, you're getting back into value now. Maybe, you know, this is definitely way oversold. It's got to be. I mean, again, fall's coming. We're below these highs of 640. You know, again, it's tricky to trade natty gas,
and it's expensive. Very dangerous. Be careful out there in natty gas land.
They do have the minis. They do have the minis.
I mean, it looks to me like if it can stay there and build some time and volume back into that value range, why couldn't it collapse all the way back? I mean,
yeah, no, but again, I'm not interested in buying here. There's nothing on this chart that says it's going to stop from going to 5. So
right, exactly, patience again in this one,
and wait for a turn. You know, wait for the crest to happen. You don't have to predict it. You don't have to get in. You don't have to get in at the absolute bottom, but there's no turn going on there right now. So just, you know, continue to watch it go down. Bitcoin just can't get out of its way. Kramer today said it's time to buy Bitcoin, so that's going down now. Oh my God,
that is such the
kiss of death.
Thank you, Kramer, for the push to 9,800. All right, Matt, that's what we got. Please visit us at marketvitals.io. Please share, retweet, plagiarize the broadcast. And we'll be back at it tomorrow in these doldrums of summer. That's it. Another rainy day here in Bend.
No, it's sunny out, dude. Get out.
All right, listen, I gotta get out. You get out too. Thank you very much.
Nothing but blue skies. Nothing but blue skies right here.
All right, peace out.